The purpose of this video is to walk through how can we import all of these error details files. I've added files that are going to cause failures. How do we handle those failures? And then I've added files. Well, what happens if I leave a file open and I'm running my package that's going to pick up and import these into a SQL database. So we'll go into our SQL table, make sure there's nothing in there. Oh, I just changed the VPN. There's nothing in there. I'll go out to my package. The very first step in my package is I want to create an archive folder. Once I want a destination for these files once they've been imported. This is a for each loop container. What's happening here is it's saying for every file I want to go through and I want to do a data flow for each file. If that data flow fails, I want to send a message that says the data flow failed, and then I want to move that failure to a different folder location. The next step is if the data flow is successful, it's going to move the data flow to the archive. What happens if that archive fails, that failure to move? It's going to send a message saying the archive has failed. Now the reason why this one's here is if someone has that file open, it will still import the file, but it won't be able to move the file. So I'll kind of show you that. So in my examples here, I have an open file. So I open this file. I'm going to leave that open. And then I have a data flow failure. What I did here is I actually went out there and I put bad data in there. And now I'm going to run this. We'll minimize this. What we're going to see here is real time it's going to be chunking through these files and importing them into our database. So when it's the data flow failure, it's going to say, I don't want to fail the entire package, I want to keep going with files. So you can see it just failed that. It generated an email and it moved the file. So now we've got to our open file, we've done the data flow for it, then it failed. But it's going to just keep going on, chugging along. So there we go. We've made it through our files. What has happened is we've also received some emails. I'm on VPN, so that may take a little while, but we can talk about the results here. So each file we're just looping through, we're going through our data flow. If it fails, then we want to send a message, and then we want to move that data flow, that file that failed, into a separate folder. So if I come out to my data flow failures, I can see the one I wanted to fail moved out to the failure folder. So that'll be kind of a workspace for someone to come out here and say, I have files that have failed. I need to go review these files and see what may have caused this failure. Then the other one is I have this file open, so I imported it just fine. And then when I went to archive it, it says, hold on a second, someone has this file open, I can't move the destination. So what happens here is we just send an email. You might ask, well, why don't we move it to like an archive failure folder? And the problem is that we can't move it in the first place. So in this case, you're just going to get a mail notification, and this file is going to remain out there in that working directory. So if I come back out, you kind of saw my messages popping up here. So in this case, we had an error on the data flow. Error detail file failed to import on, and then it gives you the location where you can go work on that file. And then the archive failure, this one's a little more specific. It says error detail failed to move to archive, which is this folder right here. So if I go back out to this archive area, I created that folder in the first step, and then the files that were successful got moved here. So if I come back out here, this is actually directly to the file, so that would open the file. And then here's kind of the location where it needs to be moved to. So the reason this is really going to be kind of a manual step. The person that comes out here says, oh, I did have that file open. I close it. What needs to happen is they need to, based on this message, they need to know to move this into that 930 folder. So then we come back out here. If we go out to data flow failure, we can work on this file. Once this file has been corrected, we can move it back out into that working directory and run the process again. Now, there's that archive one at the very beginning that we looked at. So in this area, if you try to import that one that didn't get archived correctly again, it will import the data twice. So we may need to add some unique constraints, but we'll have to be pretty intelligent on what those unique constraints are. And that's pretty much the kind of the flow of this. But when I meet with one of the developers that's going to take this over, we'll kind of go into the details on how this was built, the walk through the steps in the process, just to make sure everybody understands what's taking place. And that's it.